We shall be considering data cleaning and data preparation in Excel. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain what data cleaning means. You should be able to understand why data cleaning is important in data analysis. You should be able to identify common data quality problem. You should be able to remove duplicate records from a data set. You should be able to detect and handle blank or missing values. You should be able to remove unnecessary spaces from text. You should be able to correct inconsistent text formatting. You should be able to use find and replace to fix repeated errors. You should be able to split text using text to columns. And you should be able to prepare clean and reliable data sets for analysis. What is data cleaning? Data cleaning is the process of identifying, correcting, or removing errors, inconsistent, and unnecessary information from a dataset so that it becomes accurate, complete, and ready for analysis. So when you look at your datasets, you might discover that this dataset is not feeling well. What do I mean by a dataset that is not feeling well? Maybe peradventure you discover that the data in the dataset are inconsistent. For example, maybe in the sex column, you discover that some persons entered as male, some entered as M, some entered with inconsistent character writing. So what does this mean? It means when you are trying to perform your analysis on that, you cannot do that effectively until everything comes to the same format. So what do? You need to perform some cleaning on that data before you can proceed with it. Now, thinking of data cleaning, you can think of it like washing your fruits before eating them. Now, you want to eat the fruit, but you consuming it like that is not ideal for your health. It can cause illness at the end. So it means you have to do what? You have to wash it first before you eat it. That is the same way you have to clean your data before you analyze it. So even though the fruits are good, they may contain dirt that needs to be removed first. In the same way, data may contain mistakes that needs to be corrected before it can be analyzed. So a data analyst may clean duplicate records. So what are the possible things you clean from your data? Number one is duplicate records. Number two is blank or missing values. Number three is extra spaces, when you have excessive spaces. Then incorrect spellings. Then inconsistent capitalization. Then wrong date formats and incorrect data entry. Why is data cleaning important? Data cleaning is one of the most important steps in data analysis because the quality of your analysis depends on the quality of your data. If the data is incorrect, incomplete, or inconsistent, the result of your analysis will always be incorrect. This is why professional data analysts always clean their data before creating reports, charts, dashboard, or making business decision. Now, what does data cleaning helps us to achieve? Data cleaning helps us to improve the accuracy of reports and analysis, remove duplicates and unnecessary records, correct mistakes and inconsistencies, make data easier to read and understand, save time during analysis, increase confidence in business decisions, prepare data for pivot tables, charts, dashboards, Power BI, SQL, and Python. So what we are simply saying here is that when you have your the reason why we need data cleaning is because we might want to perform some further analysis on a set of data. So if the data is not cleaned, the analysis might not be correct. So that is why we need to do what? We need to first of all clean the data so that our analysis can be correct. Okay, let's look at this. For example, imagine you have a record. Maybe a company calculates their income and expenditure for the month, and eventually they have a particular field that contains three customers. Let's say one of them bought a good for five. No, let's say they contain two customers. One of them bought a good for 5,000, and the other bought the good for 8,000. That means if they calculate their total sales, it's supposed to be 13,000. Now imagine that the person that is entering the data mistakenly entered that person that bought it for 5,000 two times. It means the person has entered a total sale of what? 18,000 naira. So what does this mean? It will affect the company's calculations, because when they are doing the analysis, they will believe that they made a sales of 18,000 naira, whereas the sales they made is just 13,000. So by the time they are building their dashboard, they are going to be affected. The analysis will be affected, and this is the reason why data cleaning becomes important. Let's look at the workflow of the data cleaning. So it means when you want to clean your data now, how exactly do you do it? What are the practical step-by-step stages that you pass through? The first thing is that you inspect the data. So you have to look through the data to identify what the error is. So you don't just go ahead and start cleaning data. No, you don't even know what you want to clean. So you have to first of all look at data. What exactly is wrong with this data? What makes this data to need cleaning? So when you have now discovered that, there are various things that makes a data to need cleaning. Like we discussed earlier, we talked about remove and duplicate records, that the data might have duplicate records. We talked about the fact that the data might be inconsistent with capitalization. We talked about the fact that the data um, might have wrong date formats. We talked about the fact that it might have a wrong text format. So those are various things the that could that could make the data need cleaning. So when you inspect your data, the next thing you do is you look for duplicate records. The reason you are looking for duplicate recordness is because if the thing is duplicated, like you're having it in two places, if you say you trim, the both duplicates will be trimmed. That means you are stressing your work, in the sense that if you remove the duplicate first, maybe you are having let's say you have 100 records, and inside the 100, 10 items have been duplicated. It means the initial record you are supposed to have is 90, but because 10 was duplicated, it becomes what? 100. So if you do not clean first, any analysis you are performing it on the 100. But when you first of all remove the duplicate records, you have 90 left. So whatever you are doing it on the remaining 90, which is what you want to work for you. Number three, check the blank or missing values. So after duplicate record, the next thing is what? You look for your blank and missing value, and then you decide how to handle them. Yes, so in places where you discover that okay, your value is missing, what do? You can just probably maybe put nil there, or fit in a value as a new record. For example, let's say in the gender of 6, so we have male, female, and then maybe somebody did not enter anything in that place, because you know that the gender is just male and female, but you don't know the person's gender. First of all, for you to handle that place, you can look at the person's name. If you look at the name and you discover that maybe the person is being Gloria, Gloria is a feminine name, so you know that definitely the person is what? Is a female. So even if the person had not imputed that record, you can go there and impute it. Why? Because you know what the person should be based on your expectation. But then, even if it's something you cannot predict what the person is, you can just impute nil there. So when you input nil, it means when you are doing your analysis, when you are performing your analysis, nil now becomes what? An entry that symbolizes that what? That the person did not impute the agenda. So you can use that also for your analysis. Another is that you remove unnecessary spaces. So you can discover that there are unnecessary spacing in your data. So you can just highlight your data sets, use your trim function, and remove unnecessary spaces. The next one is correct spelling mistakes. Yes, you can use find and replace, or you check it manually to correct the unnecessary spellings, or and the incorrect spellings. Now verify the clean data. So you review the data sets to ensure that it is complete, accurate, and ready for analysis. You can go back to the first stage again, that is, you now inspect the data again and look through. By the time you did not discover any error, then your data is ready for analysis. And the reason is because when you make your data ready for analysis, that is when you can now use it on other packages, because most of the other packages that one that a data analyst use, some of them you can import an Excel file into it, you can import a CSV file into it. So what does that mean? What it means is that you can get your raw data from what? As an Excel file, and then import it into your import it for the use of Power BI, import it for the use of your SQL, import it for the use of Python. So let's look at common data quality problem. So in real world data sets, data is rarely perfect. Below are some of the most common problems a data analyst encounters. Number one is data duplicate records. We talked about that. Number two is blank cell. We talked about that. Number three is empty spaces. We talked about that. Number four is incorrect capitalization. Yes, we talked about that. Number five is spelling errors. Yes, for some mistake and for some reasons the person might make mistake in entering spelling. For example, maybe the person lives in Lagos. The correct spelling for Lagos is Lagos, but the person can mistakenly write Lagoss and not even know he made mistake. But if you are performing analysis and you say count Lagos, by the time you say you count Lagos, it will not count Lagoss as part of the Lagos. That is why you need to first of all clean your data by removing that spelling inconsistency before you now count your data. Inconsistent text formats, those are another thing. Wrong data type, yes, and then typing errors. So these are the basic problems that you might face, that the data might face. So let's look at an example. You have the customer name, city, amount, and then you have all of this data there. We discovered that Joe Smith was written 3 times, Mary James was written 2 times. So from this record, we identify the following problem. We identify that they are duplicate records, they are inconsistent capitalization, they are misspelled city names, they are missing amounts, they are inconsistent text formatting. So before performing any analysis, these issues must be identified and corrected to ensure accurate and trustworthy results. Now let's understand what duplicate records mean. I think duplicate record is something we have discussed about earlier, and basically we now know what duplicate records mean. So when we're talking about duplicate records, we are talking about when two or more rows contains the same information. That is, the same record have been entered more than twice. So if you look at the row, all the records in the row, like this example we are seeing here now, the row 1 and the row 3, they both contain the same information. So irrespective of the character formatting, in as much as they are containing the same information, it means it is a duplicate record. How does duplicate record occur? Duplicate record can happen because of entering the same data more than once, importing the same file multiple times. Yes, another thing is when you are importing your file, maybe you are taking your Excel file and you are importing it to an SQL, to a SQL for analysis. When you are importing it there, maybe you have imported it the first time, the data has been saved, but you now had to probably import it again. Maybe for some reason, maybe you thought it has not entered the first time, you now imported it again. It might import data and then become a duplicate record. So what do you do in that case? You have to clean it. You have to remove duplicates. So when we copy and pasting data accidentally, that's another way you can amount to get duplicate records. Multiple employees entering the same information, then errors during data collection. Take for example, you are using a Google form or any survey form to get your record from people. Some people can decide to enter the form twice. Some people can fill the form twice because they don't know. They might think they have not filled it before and they fill it again and they enter the same information. So it means the records become what? Duplicated. So duplicate records are dangerous because it increased totals incorrectly. So it's increased totals incorrectly because I said that earlier. Maybe your initial total is supposed to be 13,000, but because of 5,000 was entered twice, the total become 18,000, which is extremely wrong. It produces inaccurate reports, it affects business decisions, it wastes storage spaces, and it reduces data quality. So when you want to remove a duplicate record in Excel, yes, when you want to remove a duplicate record in Excel, what you need to do is select the entire data set. That's the first thing. You select the entire data set. So when you are selecting that data set, always make sure you include the heading. Include the heading. So go to the data tab on the ribbon, click data, then remove duplicates. then remove duplicates dialog box appear. When the box appear, you will see all the column names in your data set. Then choose the columns Excel you should use to identify duplicate records. For example, is it customer ID? Is it customer name? Is it city? So just look at it. Which column do you want to remove, check the duplicates from? So that means when Excel check that particular column, if it sees a duplicate there, it knows that that is a duplicate value and then removes that row. So click OK. Excel scans the selected cell and removes duplicate rows automatically. So Excel displays a confirmation message such as 2 duplicate values found and removed, 8 unique values remain. So you click OK and finish. So that is how we undo duplicate. That is how we undo duplicate records in Excel. Okay, so assuming we are starting with the responsibility of this and we want to erase duplicate records, so just go with this. Now for you to erase duplicate record, you just press your select all, then you come to your data, then you come to remove duplicates, then you will allow all of the columns to be checklisted and you click. So 2 duplicates remove found, 28 unique values left. Now let's look at blank cells and missing data. So when you say blank cells, another problem that we can face is what dealing with blank cell. And when we're talking about blank cell, we are still talking about missing data. That is, the data is not available where it is supposed to be made available. So blank cells are cells that do not contain any value. They may be empty because information was forgotten during data entry, or the information was unavailable. Data was deleted accidentally, errors occurred during data import. So if you look at it now, we discover that from this table, we discover that the phone number for Mary James and Esther Musa are not available. Yes, they are not available. So that is a blank cell. So why is this a problem? The reason is because it produces incomplete reports. By the time we are reporting about their phone numbers, we get incomplete reports. It causes formulas to return incorrect results. It affects pivot tables and charts. It reduces the quality of analysis. It makes decision making difficult. Now, what are the questions every data analyst should ask when you find blank cells? You should ask yourself, is this information important? Can the missing value be obtained? Should the blank cell be filled? Should the record be removed? And is the blank value acceptable? So let's look at the question again. The first question you ask yourself is this information important? So you look at it, this information that this person did not provide now, is it important for our analysis? Then can the missing value be obtained? Just like I said earlier, you can look, let's say the missing value is in the column of sex, you can go and look the person's name. If it's something you can probably look at it and the name is feminine, the name is masculine, you can just come and update it in your record. Then should the blank cell be filled? Look at it. Is it a cell that must be filled? So it means if you answer the first question, which is this information important? If your answer there was yes, that means that blank cell has to be filled. So if the information is really important, it means you have to come and fill the blank cell. So should the record be removed? If peradventure you discover that, okay, this information now that is not available for this person, should I just remove the record? That's remove the person's record entirely. Yes, if you discover that, okay, you cannot access the blank space, there is no way you access the blank space, you don't know how to fit in a value there. And for example, the analysis is something such that, okay, maybe for example people just entered their details randomly, you can easily just remove that blank space or remove the person's record out of it. Then is the blank value accepted? Is the blank value accepted? You check it. Can I work with it as it is blank like that? If you can work with it as it is blank, then you can just leave it and go on and work with it as it is blank. So how do we find and handle blank cells? So for us to find blank cells, it is important that we follow the following. So we have two methods. The first method is that we can use filter. This method allows you to display only the records that contain blank cells. To do this, follow this step. Select your data sets, go to the data tab, click data, then filter. Click the filter drop down arrow on the column you want to check, then uncheck select all, then select blanks. Click OK. Excel will display only the row containing blank cells. Now, right, so for you to deal with blank cells, just come here, go to filter. Once you filter your data, let's say we are looking for the blank cells in departments, so you just pick blanks. So these are this data that's the blank the part of the department. The next one, that's the next method, is that you use go to special. So this method quickly highlights every blank cells in your data set. So you just select the data set, you press F5 or Ctrl G. So what does that do? What that do is that it activates the go to special. So you click special, then you select blanks and you click OK. So what will happen? Excel automatically selects all blank cells in the selected range. After finding blank information, depending on the situation, what are the things you can do? You can enter the correct information if you know it. You can replace the blank with an appropriate value, that may be a guessed value. You can leave it blank if it is accepted. If it won't affect your analysis, if blank, you can leave it blank. Then you can remove the entire record if the missing information makes the record unusable. So for example, maybe what you are even the reason why you collected data is that you want to know how many male or how many you want to know how many male smokes. Maybe that's the reason why you are getting the data. So if peradventure the person did not enter the information of being a male, or did not enter the information of smoking, and the person keeps entering information of his age, his state of origin, you don't need all of this information. Basically, you just collected it just to probably just get the person's full record, maybe for further analysis sake. But basically what you need for your analysis is that you want to know if the gender that smokes the most. So it means automatically in that case, if the person did not enter anything about smoking, you can't guess whether the person smokes or not smoke. So the best thing is just to remove the record and proceed with other analysis. Now, in your data cleaning, there is the place where you make use of the text functions for your data cleaning, and we have learnt about text function in other videos. So you can easily just access the video on text functions and see all the various text functions. You can see all the various text functions. So basically, when you have your data which is not cleaned and you want to clean it, so there are various text functions you make use of. You can use the trim function to remove extra spaces. You can use the upper function to convert all letters to uppercase. You can use the lower function to convert all letters to lowercase, and you can use the proper function to capitalize the first letter of each word. So now another feature we'll be using is the find and replace. Find and replace. So we can use the find and replace also to correct data. So when working with large data sets, you may notice the same mistakes appearing many times. Instead of correcting each record manually, Excel provides the find and replace tool. So find and replace is a feature that searches for specific tests, numbers, or symbols and replaces them with the correct value throughout the data set. So it is one of the fastest way to correct repeated mistakes. So find and replace is commonly used to correct spelling mistakes, to replace abbreviations with full names, to standardize city or department names, to correct product names, to replace old values with new values. So how do we use find and replace? So you can use the find and replace feature by simply pressing Ctrl H. So when you press Ctrl H, the find and replace feature comes to place and then you use it. And if you forget the shortcode, you can just go to your home tab, you go to find and select or find and replace. Then what are the steps? You enter the incorrect value in find what. So you see the place where it says, you go under find and replace. So you see the place where it says find what. So that find what, you enter your value there, then replace with, you see that, then what you want it to be replaced with, you will enter it there, and then you click replace all, and Excel will update every matching value instantly by replacing it to the new value that you want it to be replaced to. That thing we'll be looking at is find and replace. Find and replace. So this is, you come here, you pick find, So find what? Let's say you find mail. If you have this kind of mail, then you replace it to capitalized one, or let's say we even want it to come in form of capital letter only. So you just say find all or replace all. You use replace all. So 28 replacements done. And then by the time you come here, you discover that all the things related to mail are now in mail. Another thing we'll be making use of is the text to column. Text to column. So sometimes multiple pieces of information are stored in a single cell. For example, full name containing first name and last name. So when the person is entering their name, they enter it as what? The first name and the last name. But in your own file, now you want to separate out, in different cells all the first name. I want to separate out in another different cell all the last name. So for you to get this, you can make use of the text to columns. So the text to column is a feature that splits text into separate columns using a delimiter. So it splits cells into different columns using a delimiter. So a delimiter is a character that separates data. So they include space, comma, hyphen, slash, and tab. All of these are delimiters that you can. Steps to use text to columns. Now, for you to use text to column, the first thing is that you select the column containing the text. So where is the column containing the text? You select it. Then you go to data, you go to text to columns. Then you choose delimited and click next. So you choose what? Delimited and click next. So when you do that, you select the delimiter for names separated by spaces. You select what? Space. When maybe the person name is John Smith, in between the John and Smith, what you have in there is what? Is a space. Is a space. So if you want that, you want to get that two value, then you select space. That's the delimiter you are using now. Then you click finish. Once you click finish, Excel separates the text into different columns automatically. So text to columns is useful for separating first and last names, product codes, email usernames, and domains. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is the text to column. So this student's name, now we want to break it. So now first thing is we insert a new column here so that we can have the name in these two columns. So we pick this column now. We come to our data. Once we get to our data, we come to text to column. Once we get to text to column, we pick delimited. Then you come next. Then you pick space as your this thing. Then you come next. Then you change this to text. Since your data is in form of text, then you finish. So once you finish, you have the student's name. So John Smith, Mary John. So you change the heading to first name and then to last name. Look at date formats now, standardizing date formats. So dates are one of the most important types of data in Excel. However, dates may be entered in different formats, making a data set inconsistent. Example, having the following dates in one column for date. So you have one column for date and you have this type of dates 01/05/2026. You have another date 2026 hyphen 05 hyphen 03. You have another date May 7 2026. You have another date 8/05 2026. So all of these, they are all dates and they are correct formats. But when you are performing analysis, if they are in different formats, then there is no way your analysis will come out well. Everything has to be in the same format, and that is when, for example, if you want to sort and everything is not in the same format, there is no way it will sort correctly for you. So it means you have to put them in a consistent format. You have to put them in a consistent format. So how do you now standardize it? Just select the date column, then you click format cell, then you choose date, then you choose a preferred date format, and then you click OK, and all the sets, the column becomes the same. So use one consistent date format throughout your entire workbook. This makes your data easier to read, easier to sort, easier to analyze, and more professional. Alright, so looking at the dates, just pick the date column, then you come to home, you come to formats, So you format it as, let's say, long dates, or you format it as specials. You can come to the date specials. Let's pick this is the date column, right? So you can come and format it as date specials, and let's say we're having this as our date style. So we just extend our columns. So we open this. So we discover that all the dates now follow the format. So these ones that didn't follow the format are the ones that has not been formatted as numbers. They are formatted as text. So professional data cleaning checklists. So what are the things you have to checklist? I'm repeating, I think I've talked about something like this before in this video, so I'm trying to repeat it again so that we can understand that. So the first thing is what? Remove duplicate record. So you can just get this maybe in a corner of your notes, data cleaning checklist. Then you put the first one, remove duplicate record. So every time you encounter a data, check, are there still duplicate records? If no, mark it. You sorted that. Number two, check for blank or missing values. Number three, remove unnecessary spaces using what? The trim function. The next thing is what? Standardize text using the upper, the lower, or the proper function. Then the next thing is what? Correct spellings, mistakes using find and replace. Then the next thing is split combined text using text to column where necessary. So that's not a compulsory thing if it's necessary for your analysis. Then the next thing is standardize your date format. Then ensure that numbers are stored as numbers, not as text. If you store a number as a text, by the time you are doing using some function, they will not add up because Excel will not read it as a number. Another thing is verify that every column contains the correct types of data. It contains the correct data type. Then review the entire data set for accuracy before analysis. So data analysis is not something you just jump into and just start analyzing. No, data cleaning is a very, very crucial thing that you should perform in data analysis. Let's look at before and after cleaning the data. So before cleaning the data, this is an example. It's just a small example of data that we are having here. So this data is a dirty data. This data is a dirty data and it has a lot of problem. Yes, it's a messy data and it has a lot of problem. And what are the problem? Number one, duplicate records. Number two, incorrect capitalization. Number three, misspelled city name. Number four, blank cells. Number five, different date formats and inconsistent text formatting. Then when you discovered all of these errors, then this is how the data now looks like after you have been cleaning. This is how it looks like after you have cleaned it. So when you have cleaned it now, what are the things we have improved? We have made we have removed the duplicate record. We have standardized the text using the proper function. We have corrected spelling using find and replace. Blank values have been updated. Yes, the records have been updated to something else. The dates displayed in are now the dates are now displayed in a consistent format. So when you see this data now, it looks more clean and easier to read and more professional and ready for accurate analysis. So let's look at real life application of data cleaning. So where exactly is data cleaning being applicable? Number one, in bank clean customer records to remove duplicate accounts, correct customer information, verify transaction records, and improve reporting accuracy. For hospital clean patients data to maintain accurate medical records, to remove duplicate patient entries, to correct missing information, and to improve patient care. School can clean data, which their data is student record now, to correct student details, to remove duplicate registrations, to update examination records, to generate accurate reports. Then what are the real life applications of data cleaning? So for real life application of data cleaning, companies clean data sets. Company clean sales and customer data to track sales accuracy, to manage inventory, to understand customer behavior, to produce reliable business reports. Then government agencies can clean population and administrative data to improve planning, to allocate resources correctly, to produce reliable statistics, and to support policy decisions. So data cleaning is not an optional task at all. It is a core responsibility of every data analyst. So without data cleaning, without you cleaning your data, reports become inaccurate, dashboard become misleading, and business decisions become unreliable. So a skilled data analyst is recognized not only by the ability to analyze data, but also by the ability clean, clean, accurate, and reliable data sets for analysis. So the fact that they can give you a messy data and you clean it up, it means you are a standard and let me say an intellectual data analyst.